So Jamie Dimon had a very interesting interview today on CNBC where he talked about the consumer has $1.5 trillion of excess liquidity in their bank accounts, which they're spending at levels that are greater than pre-COVID levels. He expected that this would level off in mid-2023, and then we can expect perhaps a recession at that point. Inflation is basically eating away at all of this cash advantage that consumers have, so that's definitely a negative. He thought that the target for the Fed funds rate was around 5%. Potentially the Fed will hit that 5% for the Fed funds target and then stop and see what happens, and that potentially could not be enough. He also talked about QT. He said QT, quantitative easing, we have never lived through a situation like this, and everybody should be very concerned about it because it's very difficult to predict what is going to happen. But then he went on to say that nothing is more concerning than the geopolitical situation, and I've talked about this on this channel. He talked about oil, food, fertilizer, war, humanitarian risks, and he said that the Earth has not experienced anything like this since 1945, and it's literally impossible to predict what is going to happen.
You said geopolitics is really the issue that we need to watch.
Yeah. So you have this economy, but then you have oil, food, fertilizer, war, humanitarian crisis. We've not had a war in Europe like this since 1945. Right. And back then we said never again. And it's again. And then, of course, it's causing all this, people rethinking secure lines and China and trade, and there's a lot of geopolitical upheaval. And add to that, by the way, there are a lot of emerging market countries that a lot of people don't focus on are going to pay a heavy price to the strong dollar, higher rates, and higher oil prices. And so that stuff is really significant. I don't think we've seen that kind of turmoil in the global world for a long time. And what I said about a hurricane, I said that's storm clouds that could mitigate. It could be a hurricane. We simply don't know. And I think, as a risk manager, I prepare for both. But I'm not guessing which one's going to happen. I simply don't know.
As a risk manager, which one looks like the more likely scenario?
I don't know.
So
I put that whole mix of stuff and turmoil to be worried about. And we need great American leadership to resolve those issues. And so that's the most important part.